rejection is hard. I'm not going to deny. I mean, for goodness sake, he rejected me 4 times from me asking him out already.
You can't be gay and a Muslim.
I mean, I can't exactly say the fiance word around them. I have to kind of convert myself every time around family functions to say the boyfriend, or now lately what I've been saying just to help with my own sanity is saying partner, because it just sounds a lot more easier than saying boyfriend.
But then now with this, would there be 3? Would there be 2? I'm not entirely also sure, because again, you can't really be gay and Muslim, because then how would it work with the Islamic wedding?
My name is Keenan. I am 36 years old.
My name is Irfaan Jeffries and I'm 28 years old.
So I kind of figured it out from a very young age that I was queer. For me, it was more difficulty because I'm a Roman Catholic, so I kind of felt I went to a Catholic primary school as well. So coming out, it was very daunting for me because I thought my family wouldn't agree with it. But then eventually I did come out when I was 16. And since then I haven't looked back at it. And my family's been very supportive of me. They've been very cheerful of it. Only to figure out years later that my family is an LGBT kind of family. So it's been a quite a good, interesting, open family, kind of warm, welcoming for me in that regard. So yeah.
And then on my side, how I knew that I was gay, it actually took a bit of time for me to kind of figure it out myself. I only came out when I turned 20, so I eventually came out to them first. It's only a group of 5 friends. Eventually, as the year went on, then I started coming out to quite a few more friends. But then with the circumstance of that year, I eventually moved back home with my family, and then I eventually did tell them. So it was a bit more of a struggle, because then I had to deal with telling them and then the religious implications, because my family was also religious, but then they didn't agree with anything that wasn't, just straight Muslims and, practicing the religion consistently. But eventually over the years, they've started to just, accept that I'm who I am right now. So it's more like a don't ask, don't tell, but they're slowly warming up as, they get to see less of me, and then, they're more grateful that I'm still being.
But for me, the more the second part of coming out as a drag queen, then they're like, oh, so now you want to dress up. Now you want to be a female, or are you transitioning? Are you wanting to change from male to female? And then you kind of have to go through the explanation like, no, drag is an art form. It's not seen as any transitioning things or nothing. It's just fun and entertainment. But more so, it's for me to see coming out as a drag queen, that was the hardest part for me.
My side with coming out, I think the hardest things were just actually physically saying the words, I am gay. That took a long time to get through. I'm sure a lot of people can also relate to it, because once you say it the first time, it was the biggest hurdle to someone else, but then saying it consistently and easily, that was a hard thing to get used to. And then the other part was, obviously when I did come out to my family, there were other circumstances that made it a bit more difficult, because I wasn't living on my own anymore, because I was living in a boarding house before, so it was completely just me by myself, which made it easier to come out. But then I had to move back with my family. It took about 2 years for me to actually eventually then come out. For some odd reason, we both ended up at the same place at the same time. So how I used to try and join the world of the gay society in Cape Town, I would go out to different bars by myself and just kind of randomly meet people as I went along. This one, I believe, was there because it was it was just before his birthday, so not the actual day. And then he was going out with his then fiance at the time, but they had a bit of an argument. So he stayed a bit late with the owner. Meanwhile, I was just having a nice time. So eventually when they were taking people out of the club, I was wondering, why is this man still sitting here? Why is he not getting up to go and leave? So then I went up to go and speak to him. And then I still asked, what's going on? And then we continued speaking for the rest of the evening. And then that's where my mind goes a bit foggy, So you might have to take over.
Okay, so from that point onwards, we were chatting the whole time, and then the owner eventually said, okay, we really need to go because he wants to close up. And then eventually he closed up. This one was waiting outside for an Uber. So I thought I'll offer this one a lift home. But then he said, I can take him home on one request. I was like, okay, fine. What's the request? We need to go for food. And then dropped him off at home, asked him for his number. And then, yeah, we've been on and off as friends. And then COVID hit, obviously. We lost complete touch of each other. 2023, I was opening a brand new club in a new space. And I sent out a broadcast to say whoever wanted to come with can basically put their names down, and I would gladly ask them to come, let them free entry.
Yes, I'd like the free entry. I went over, and then I became like a regular there at his workplace.
And then I broke up with my previous ex at the time. He was there for me as my closest friend, and then he eventually became my best friend. That's when I realized that, I have feelings for this person, and I've always had feelings for him. And it was just like, how do I approach it? So I approached it the way I normally do. Literally, he denied me 4 freaking times to ask me out on a date. And then
he got me on a random one. Just out of the blue. It's just something that he said that just got me that evening. There were multiple ones, but the one just stands out to me. We just said that he had liked me since the moment that we met that first evening. And then he still joked, like, why can't we date? So I just said, yeah, let's date.
For me, I think the basis of the fact that there was first a friendship, that solidified the groundwork, and the fact that in my friend group, everyone calls me weird and crazy, and the mere fact that he matches my weird and crazy is just as weird and crazy as well sometimes. So actually, it just made it a lot more special to all the others.
I feel that there's more communication that we have because of the friendship, but then also at the same time, it's not always the fun kind of communication, and we don't hold grudges with each other when we do argue. And we just try to keep it as a continuous evolving relationship, not just, someone that's there for you because they're there for you. It's you there for the person as well.
Coming from different religious backgrounds, for me, it doesn't really bother me that much. Just for the mere fact that just because I am Roman Catholic and I believe in a certain way, doesn't mean that my love for a person is going to change because of my religious basis. I know from his side, it might be slightly different for you.
Yeah, because the way I also grew up, so I actually didn't go to madrasa, so like the learning school for Islam. So then I didn't actually know a lot about what I'm supposed to be doing at like religious events or anything like that. So I already had to hide that of not knowing anything about that up until I think high school. That's when I started to get to know the basics with my dad. And then we became a bit closer there. But then still it was hiding, not knowing the majority of things that I should know, and then also hiding being gay as well, because as you're busy learning about this, especially the way that it was taught to me, you can't be gay and a Muslim. I decided that I wasn't going to be Muslim and gay, and because I can't change being gay, so then I decided, okay, I'm not going to be Muslim anymore. So people would always ask me, oh, so now you're Christian, or what do you believe in? So I don't think I subscribe to a current religion at the moment. I've also been in contact more with some Muslims that are gay, and they are still Muslim as well. And they are a lot more pious than some of the people that would, ostracize me for just being gay, while they are doing a lot worse in their own religion. But there've also been some good people that I've met that were Muslim, and they just are more open as long as they just don't hear that part. So that's why it's very complicated on how I approach different people when they say that they are the same religion as mine. It's a bit sad because it should be that there are other issues to focus on in terms of what people are doing wrong according to sin, instead of just finding a nice, loving, accepting person for whom you are. And that to me is kind of sad.
For me, I find it riveting for my religion to be taking steps forward in becoming a modern church, because there's always been the stigmatism around Roman Catholicism being a backwards, stigmatized, patriotic church, where in the meantime I see it in a different view. We've got now a brand new Pope, Pope Louis the 14th, sorry, that's now trying to show that we are trying to modernize the church. 25 years ago, if we wanted to get married, the church wouldn't allow us to even get married in church, no longer get a blessing. But now I can use the church grounds. Granted, I can't go inside the church, but I can use the church grounds to get the marriage done if I would like to, or even get the priest to bless the marriage. Being a gay Roman Catholic does sometimes have its privileges, but also the misconception of just being a gay person and a Roman Catholic, in their minds it doesn't mix. They always think you're agnostic, or you are a non-believer, or you don't have a faith. Where I go around and I'm like, no, I have a faith, I have a religion. It might not be the same as yours, but I follow it the way I think I should follow it, and that's my belief on it. My main core is that you can't love someone without knowing who they are and what they are about, especially the core part of their religion. For me, I love Irfaan no matter what. If he chooses to celebrate his church or not, or his religion, sorry, not his church, his religion, it's fine by me, but I want him to practice it the way he feels. So if he chooses to be Muslim, I'll allow him to be Muslim. If he chooses to be agnostic, I'll allow him to be agnostic. It's just the way I love him.
And it's kind of the same as well, because he mentioning, showing me his side of like the church and everything like that. Because I know he's already been to like mosque and he's seen a lot of the Islamic side, because part of his family is also a Muslim. And a part of my family was actually also Christian, but then some converted into Islam. And it's just when he does need me to like come through sometimes with the family events, the important ones, like, with Christmas, that was that long procession that I first had to go to. The other one was Easter, yes. So then I would take part in those as well. We recently went to the church bazaar as well, so I won't also not go and experience that side. And the way that he's also accommodating my side is that obviously it's a sore subject of just even introducing him to my side of the family, because of them still being Muslim. Even I don't know what my extended family was told regarding me, because I'm also not certain about that, but we being very discreet about it, and the fact that he is being discreet for me is very helpful as well. So with the proposals, the most recent one obviously sticks the most, because that one was a more trying circumstance, if I can find the right word for it. The other ones I kind of forgot, because it was more of a back and forth with the two of us. Because at first he was proposing, then I said no, because it's usually, when you just start dating, even though we've known each other for so long, you don't really hear people getting engaged 3 months into a relationship. So I was being logical and realistic. So I said no.
Rejection is hard. I'm not going to deny. For goodness sake, he rejected me 4 times before, from me asking him out already. But the one thing that I learned about the rejection from him was patience. Also, if you let water run enough times on a rock, it smooths it out eventually.
But then I realized, sitting there sometimes, I'm thinking, but what if I just never find the right time? So I'm never going to end up doing it. He's too ready to do it, and I will probably never end up doing it. So then eventually it was just a random moment where he just decided to ask again, completely just wouldn't know it was going to happen, and then I just eventually just said yes.
The courage to keep on proposing, I don't know, it just, again, I said it, I knew what I wanted. And he knows if I'm determined to get what I want, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to persist and get what I want until I get it. I think the strength just came from the fact that I know that every day he made me smile, even though we argued sometimes. So to have that person next to you by your side, I wasn't going to give that up easily. I wanted that for myself.
He knows that if I'm going to be able to eventually give in, it's for a good reason. I won't just do something because he wants to do it. And then I think for your side, you know that eventually, like, if I do decide to do something, you need to be able to actually trust the process.
So he is right there, coming from different backgrounds in terms of relationship. And it took me a while to realize that. Then he realized what he actually meant was, just because I was out of a relationship doesn't mean the feelings and everything that was attached to the relationship wasn't fully gone yet. And I think he was also in his own way just waiting for me to be ready for him.
I did tell my mom. The way I did tell her was randomly just talking about things after work like I usually do with her. And then I just mentioned that his family wanted to have them over for like a supper or a lunch. And then I just slipped it in there, yes, because it's my boyfriend. And then all she said is that she said it in a weird way, like, is this really what you want? And then I was just like, yes, no, because we've been dating for so long. And she was just like, no, I mean, like, we can't really accommodate people at the house here. And my dad knows nothing. I was going to tell him, but then he's also currently going through his own medical conditions at the moment, so I didn't want to put too much on him to think about and stress, because the last time I got, heavy news, he got, very flustered and things like that, so I was going to wait. My family is very weird, and they've also never been introduced to any of the people I've dated.
My side was more of the, are you sure? That's very quick kind of vibe. My grandfather's been around my life he's been more of a father figure than my own father has been in my life. So, and it's more an emotional thing for him to see that I want to be married and out of the house maybe and doing things when they still rely on me a lot in the household. So it's more that kind of viewpoint that we don't know what he will say and how his reaction will be, because he sees he sees marriage as a consummate binding contract that you don't go into easily. So that's where the hiccup comes more from, so on my side. So carrying a big emotional part of our relationship hidden sometimes does have its challenges. I mean, I can't exactly say the fiance word around them. I have to kind of convert myself every time around family functions to say the boyfriend, or now lately what I've been saying just to help with my own sanity is saying partner, because it just sounds a lot more easier than saying boyfriend. The emotional part is the fact that I know my grandfather is who he is. And it's just sad to see that as much as he's progressed in me and he's been okay with me being gay and stuff, it's just that there's certain things that he will probably say, but it's not the right time or not the right thing. But in the meantime, he doesn't know how to emotionally say why he's feeling that way.
My side's easier because, again, if I've already been like hiding other things, this is like, just add another one to the resume. But at the same time, the first thing that I did when I eventually got the engagement ring, when it still fit, the original one, I went into work. I wore it to work because he also wanted me to wear it to work. So then everyone in the office knew. Any of the friends, they know. So then it's not really that it's being too hidden for me. It's just the family doesn't know, but I've already been doing that already with just my general way I conduct myself most of the time, because that's the way that they want it. So it's not too much of an emotional burden for me at the moment.
So for my family to react to the secret, I think half will be ecstatic, the other half will be cautious, and then there'll just be one or two people saying, it's too early. For me, it's going to be plain and simple. My family is just going to be like, is this what you want? Do you really want to go through with this? And then just give me the whole speech of, please make sure you do the whole marriage counseling, blah, 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 before you actually walk down the aisle. But from my side, it will be not much resentment. It will just be more the fact of they want to make sure that this is the right person for me.
I feel like my mom would eventually just be, just happy that I was able to find someone and just be that kind of happier person than what I used to be. Because that's what a lot of other people have seen. The ones that used to know me before I met Keenan, and then now they see me after Keenan, and some during, like a lot of our mutual friends can like see that we just are like, happier. So I think she'll be fine. When it comes to my dad, it could go any which way. Because he's mellowed out over the years. He's not as, quick to be angry and as instinctual as he was before. And especially now with all the operations and things, he might just be like, okay, if this had to happen eventually, it's just he might have been gearing towards it anyway after me coming out already. So it might be good, it might be bad, but with him, it just could be any which way. The rest of the family, like I mentioned, they've already known.
I feel ready now to say our story and share our story because I'm a hopeless romantic. I always believe that there is always someone out there for another person. My main thing is what I want from people to watch and view from our thing is to see that, friendship can turn into many things. It can turn into a lover, can turn into a best friend, can turn into even just someone that you don't even realize that's going to be there for the rest of your life. It doesn't have to be a partner, it doesn't have to be a lover, but just having that emotional support, no matter what, there's always going to be some sort of happy ending for you. It might not be the happy ending you want, but it might be the happy ending that you need to deserve your own happiness. And I think that's why I want to share our story. That no matter what, differences can always come from the smallest thing that you don't even know.
And I just eventually thought about this interview and also just in general about how long I waited, even just coming out. And so much time gets wasted because, you put off and you delay something like this, especially. So I feel good about, just actually putting it out there into the world, because then it's just a lot easier to show, like maybe someone else is maybe struggling with this, that you might think that it will never happen, but sometimes if you just allow it to happen, then it will just be a bit easier, because you never know, it might just completely change your life for the better.
I think my family really knows where I want to go and what I want to do with him already. It's more, for me, the extended family, because up until now, we've been very private. We've been keeping to ourselves. We've been keeping our relationship private, just out of respect, not only for those around us, but just we realize that, not everything needs to be advertised. The reason why we both agreed to do this is for the fact that more from the struggling point of view, like he was saying earlier, there are people out there struggling with their own disbeliefs, their own family backgrounds, their own religious backgrounds, and they feel pushed and ostracized just because of it.
Because the one thing I was always wondering now, because with the engagement, there would have to be the wedding, which we already discussed between ourselves of the possibility of just going through to, just home affairs and then doing the marriage certificates. But if there was to be a complete wedding, how would it work? Because with my parents as well, when they got married, they had to do home affairs and then afterwards the Islamic side of the wedding. But then now with this, would there be 3? Would there be 2? I'm not entirely also sure, because again, you can't really be gay and Muslim, because then how would it work with the Islamic wedding? What I admire about Keenan Sylvester Tiana La Vida is the ability to be able to click with almost any person.
What I love about him is the mere fact that even though he tries to be undercover and secretive sometimes, even when a person is having a very bad day, he just knows how to light them up and make their mood change. He's even done it with a few times with me. And that's what I love about him. He's on innate way of just bringing out the happiness in a person. So my little advice is, I don't know what it means to come up from a difficult upbringing sometimes, because I had a very easy upbringing. The one message I would like to spread is just, if you feel that you have no one to speak to, you'll find the least person in your life, and they are the one that will listen to you the most.
My advice that I'd be able to give, it's very similar to the way that I sort of approached my own situation. It was just a bit of patience. If a situation is not safe to give any part of yourself to everyone yet, and if that is the case, you just need to have the patience to be able to wait for that right moment, because things might not turn out the best way. It might be, in my situation, where it could have been that I would have to change my name, I would have been homeless and things like that, where at least if that does happen, you have someone to fall back on like I did.